What if I told you that the plants around you are trying to speak to you right now? Not in a language of leaves and roots, but in a frequency your mind has been programmed to ignore. What if I proved to you that with a single action, you could reactivate this ability and become the only person capable of hearing them? This is no metaphor. In a shocking experiment, two identical plants received exactly the same care, but one heard words of love and flourished, while the other heard criticism and literally began to die. This proves that they don't just hear, they feel. The secret to deciphering this communication was left by Thoth, the ancient master of wisdom, in a code that remained hidden for millennia. And in this video, I'll give you the key. Stay with me until the end, because what you'll discover will not only allow you to hear plants, but will forever change the way you see reality. If you believe there is more between heaven and earth than meets the eye, comment below. I want to hear it. And forgotten remains the fact that the first act of knowing requires an act of communion, the ability to feel at home in the universe. The first clue Thoth left is not a complex riddle, but a simple and powerful truth engraved on an emerald tablet whose origins are lost in the mists of time. This artifact, known as the Emerald Tablet, is no mere ancient text. It is a map for the soul, a guide to returning to lost unity. Among its 13 precepts, one shines with particular intensity, offering the master key to reopening the dialogue with nature. It states, as above, so below, and as above, so below, to accomplish the miracles of one thing. This is the principle of correspondence. Think about it for a moment. It's not a poetic metaphor, it's a functional law of the universe. It tells us that there is no real separation between the microcosm and the macrocosm. The pattern of a spiral galaxy echoes the way water flows down a drain. The structure of a snowflake reflects the sacred geometry found in ancient temples. Each vein of a leaf, carrying the lifeblood, perfectly mirrors the course of a great river that winds through the landscape, nourishing the earth. The complex, invisible network of roots beneath the soil mimics the web of neurons within your own brain. The Emerald Tablet teaches us that everything, absolutely everything, was born from a single source, from a single primordial consciousness. The sun is the father, the moon is the mother, and the earth is the great wet nurse that nourishes all creation. Therefore, all things are intrinsically connected by an invisible web of energy and information. When you look at a plant, you are not seeing an isolated and inferior being. You are witnessing a universe in miniature, a manifestation of the same intelligent force that wove the stars and that beats in your own heart. You and the plant are different expressions of the same life. Understanding this principle at a deep level is the first and most crucial step in cracking the green code. It dissolves the illusion of separation, the arrogant idea that we are the top of a pyramid, and that the rest of nature exists only to serve us. It reminds us that we are not looking at nature from the outside. We are nature experiencing itself. We are made of the same elements, governed by the same cosmic laws. The difference lies not in essence, but only in form. And this truth, which for centuries was relegated to the realm of mysticism and occult philosophy, is now invading laboratories. Cutting-edge scientists, equipped with cutting-edge technology, are beginning to reach the same conclusions that ancient sages already knew. They are discovering communication networks, intelligence systems, and levels of sentience in the plant world that challenge everything we thought we knew. Plants are not just decorative objects or food sources. They are conscious beings that feel, communicate, and make decisions. And the discoveries are so shocking that they are forcing science to rethink the very definition of life and intelligence. What modern instruments are revealing is an echo of ancient wisdom. Science is unwittingly validating what Thoth inscribed on the emerald millennia ago. The boundary between mysticism and physics is blurring, revealing that reality is far stranger, more magical, and more interconnected than our limited vision allowed us to see. And what they're discovering about plant communication is so astonishing, it sounds like science fiction, revealing a silent cry that has always been around us, but that we're only now beginning to hear. The silent scream that science finally heard. The truth that shamans, mystics, and ancient sages have always known in their hearts, modern science, with its need for proof and data, is finally beginning to confirm with its instruments. The emerging field of plant neurobiology is demolishing the old view of plants as passive automatons, mere stage sets for the drama of animal life. What researchers are discovering is a realm of immense intelligence, sentience, and communication. A vibrant and conscious society operating at a frequency we were previously unable to perceive. Imagine a nervous system, but without a centralized brain. Plants communicate through a complex network of electrical signals that pulse with life through their stems and leaves. These impulses travel in a way that's eerily reminiscent of the transmission of information in our own neurons. They don't just react to light or gravity. They process information, assess risks, and communicate with their neighbors about what's happening. It's a form of distributed intelligence, a collective consciousness that permeates the entire plant body, making each cell part of a thinking whole. But communication doesn't stop there. Plants are masters of chemistry, releasing volatile compounds into the air that function like olfactory phrases. A scent that may be pleasant to us, like jasmine at night, is actually a specific invitation to nocturnal pollinators. The smell of freshly cut grass, which we associate with summer, is actually a cry for help, a chemical alarm that alerts other nearby plants to impending danger, prompting them to reinforce their own defenses. They speak a language of scents, a constant conversation taking place right under our noses. And the most shocking discovery of all came when scientists placed ultrasonic microphones near the plants. They discovered that when stressed, whether from lack of water or an attack by predators, the plants emit sounds. These are high-pitched crackling sounds at a frequency too high for the human ear but perfectly audible to insects and some mammals. They are, in essence, screams. A thirsty tomato plant can emit dozens of these screams per hour. The silent forest, in fact, is full of chatter and alarm calls that we simply haven't evolved to hear. Underground, the story becomes even more fascinating. A vast and complex internet of mycorrhizal fungi, dubbed the Wood Wide Web by scientists, connects more than 80% of all plant life in a forest. This subterranean network allows trees to exchange nutrients, share information, and even sustain one another. Mother trees, the oldest and most connected in the forest, can identify their descendants and send them carbon and nutrients through this network, ensuring their survival. They compete with strangers and cooperate with relatives in a complex and invisible society. Plants sense, learn, memorize, and make strategic decisions. They recognize their relatives, defend themselves from predators with sophisticated tactics, and even outwit their enemies. What science is showing us is a portrait of the plant world as a parallel, conscious, and pulsating civilization. But if they are so sensitive to physical and chemical stimuli, if they cry out when thirsty, an inevitable question arises. Could they sense something as subtle, as immaterial, as the intention behind our words? A simple experiment conducted in a school yielded a visual and undeniable answer. The answer to the question of whether plants can sense our intentions came from an unexpected place. An anti-bullying awareness campaign at a school in the United Arab Emirates, run by IKEA. The concept was as simple as it was ingenious, and its results would leave even the most skeptical scientists speechless. They took two perfectly identical plants of the same species from the same batch and placed them side by side in a busy area of the school. Both would receive exactly the same physical care, the same amount of water, the same fertilizer, the same exposure to sunlight. The only variable would be invisible. For 30 days, the school children were invited to interact with these two plants. But the interaction was controlled. For one of the plants, they were instructed to record and play messages of love, praise, and encouragement. Phrases like, "You are beautiful," "You are growing so beautifully," "We love having you here," and "Your leaves are so green and vibrant," were repeated to it daily. The plant was bathed in a wave of positive energy, appreciation, and affection, expressed through the human voice. For the other plant, the treatment was the opposite. The children recorded messages of contempt, criticism, and negativity. Words like, "You're ugly," "Nobody likes you," "You're useless," and "You're a disappointment" were played back to it, day after day. This plant was subjected to a constant verbal assault, immersed in vibrations of hatred and rejection. Remember, physically, nothing was different. The water was the same, the light was the same. The only difference was the energy contained in the words it received. The result, at the end of the 30 days, was visually shocking and undeniable. It wasn't subtle, nor did it require complex measurements. The plant that had received positive, loving words flourished. It was visibly taller. Its leaves were a deep, vibrant green. Its posture was erect and full of life. It radiated health. In contrast, the plant that had suffered daily verbal abuse was dying. Its leaves were yellowing, stained brown, drooping, and wilting. Its appearance was sad, sickly, and devoid of vitality. It was physically withering under the weight of the words. This experiment echoed another, conducted decades earlier by Japanese researcher Masaru Emoto with water. He demonstrated how water molecules, when exposed to words and intentions of love and gratitude, formed geometrically perfect and beautiful ice crystals when frozen. In contrast, water exposed to words like hate and "you disgust me" created misshapen, chaotic structures. Considering that plants, like humans, are composed largely of water, the connection becomes crystal clear and frighteningly clear. Our words, charged with the energy of our emotions and the power of our intention, are not just empty sounds dissipating into the air. They are vibrational frequencies that penetrate the molecular structure of life, altering it from the inside out. Plants not only hear our words acoustically, they feel them, absorb their energetic charge, and respond to them at a cellular level. This phenomenon is not a coincidence or an anomaly, but the manifestation of a universal law. one of the 7 secret laws that govern all existence, and that, once understood, give us the power to influence reality. The 7 secret laws that govern plants and the universe. The stunning result of the IKEA experiment is not an isolated or magical event, but visible proof of invisible laws that govern the universe. If the emerald tablet, with its principle of correspondence, was the seed of knowledge, then the Kybalion, a text that distills ancient Hermetic wisdom, is the tree that blossoms from it. This text describes 7 universal principles, 7 laws that operate on all planes of existence, from the smallest atom to the largest galaxy. And the plant kingdom, in its purity and sensitivity, is one of the clearest manifestations of these laws in action. The first and most fundamental principle is that of mentalism, which states, "The all is mind, the universe is mental." This means that the fundamental reality is not matter, but Kirk consciousness. The entire universe is a mental creation of an infinite mind, and we, as part of that mind, also have the power to create with our thoughts. The IKEA experiment is the perfect demonstration of this principle. The human mind, through emotionally charged words, projected an intention that directly shaped physical reality and the health of plants. Consciousness affected matter. The second principle is vibration, which teaches us that nothing is still. Everything moves. Everything vibrates. From subatomic particles to solar systems, everything is in constant motion and possesses a unique vibrational frequency. Each plant has its own energetic signature. Fresh rosemary, for example, vibrates at a very high frequency, which is why its essential oil is so valued for promoting mental clarity and focus. When you speak to a plant, your words, which are vibrations, interact with its vibrational field, potentially raising or lowering it. The third principle is polarity, which reveals that everything is dual, everything has poles, everything has its opposite. Love and hate, light and darkness, positive and negative are not different things, but 2 extremes of the same thing. Plants are masters at working with polarity. They take carbon dioxide, which to us is a toxic waste, and through the miracle of photosynthesis, transform it into oxygen, the breath of life. They transmute what is poisonous into what is vital, demonstrating a mastery over the alchemy of life that we should learn to emulate. The fourth principle is rhythm, which states that everything ebbs and flows. Everything has its tides. Life is not a straight line, but a cycle of expansion and contraction. This principle is the very essence of plant life. It manifests itself in the cycles of the seasons, in the growth toward the sun during the day and the retreat at night, in the opening and closing of flowers, in the silent dance that follows the movements of the moon and sun. Understanding rhythm is understanding the right time to plant, to harvest, and to communicate. Understanding these laws intellectually is fascinating, but true power, access to the green code, comes not only from knowledge, but from being. These laws are not just philosophical concepts, they are practical tools for transformation. And they show us that to communicate with the outside world, we must first harmonize our inner world. The true code reveals itself only to those who prepare themselves internally to receive it, transforming themselves into a pure vessel, creating a sacred space not around themselves, but within themselves. To hear the subtle, silent language of plants, you must first do something counterintuitive in the modern world. Silence the noise. Not just the external noise of cars, cell phone notifications, and incessant conversations, but especially the internal noise of your own mind. The Emerald Tablet itself gives us a crucial warning. Silence is of great benefit. This is not a silence of absence, of emptiness, but a silence of attentive and focused presence. It is the conscious act of creating a sacred space within yourself, an inner temple from which true communication can flourish. The construction of this temple begins with purification. Think of it like preparing a garden. Before planting the seeds, you need to clear the ground, remove weeds and stones, and enrich the soil. Likewise, before you can receive the subtle messages of the plant kingdom, you must cleanse your own energy field. Ancestral practices, such as smudging with sacred plants like white sage, rosemary, or lavender, are powerful tools for this vibrational cleansing. The aromatic smoke not only cleanses the environment, but also dissipates stagnant energies that accumulate in our aura, blocking our perception. Next comes the deliberate opening of your senses, and not just the 5 you know. We have the innate ability to sense energy, to perceive the auras surrounding living beings, to intuit truths that logic cannot grasp. These are our spiritual senses, and they have been atrophied by our over-reliance on the rational mind. To awaken them, you must cultivate reverence. You must abandon the arrogance of our species, the belief that we are superior and that nature is a resource to be exploited. True listening only occurs in humility. Approach a plant with the same respect and openness you would approach a great master or a wise elder. Recognize it as a sovereign being, a teacher possessing wisdom you lack, a partner in a cosmic dance that began long before you were born. It's an act of bowing down, of acknowledging that, in this dialogue, you have much more to learn than to teach. This shift in posture, from dominator to student, is what opens the doors of perception and allows communication to flow in both directions. And herein lies one of the most important and practical secrets of this entire journey. Your words matter, and they matter a lot. Every time you speak to a plant, or even near one, you are actively programming its reality, just as the IKEA experiment demonstrated. So, become conscious of your speech. Deliberately choose words of love, gratitude, and admiration. Speak to it as you would to someone you love deeply and unconditionally. Thank it for its beauty, for its oxygen, for its simple presence. This practice isn't for the plant. It's for you. It attunes your own vibration to the frequency of love. With your inner temple purified by intention, your mind stilled by silence, and your heart opened by reverence, you are finally ready. You have prepared the groundwork. Now comes the time to learn the grammar of this new language, to understand how messages will be received. True dialogue is about to begin, and the first practical step is to discover which of your spiritual senses is your natural gateway to this fascinating new world of interspecies communication. Do this and discover your secret language. Communicating with the plant world isn't like learning a foreign language with a fixed set of rules and a unique vocabulary that works for everyone. It's a much more personal and intuitive process. Each human being possesses what we might call a native language of subtle perception, a sensory channel that is naturally more open and developed. The key to dialogue isn't forcing a method that doesn't work for you, but discovering and honing your own innate gift. Your gateway to the green code is unique. For some people, the connection is primarily visual. They are clairvoyant by nature. By relaxing their gaze and tuning into a plant, they may begin to perceive a luminous aura around it, a colorful energy field that changes according to the plant's health and emotional state. They may see patterns of light pulsing in the leaves, or even receive clear mental images, as if the plant were projecting a movie in their mind. If you are a very visual person who thinks in images, this may be your primary channel. For others, language is auditory. They are clairaudient. In a state of inner silence, when connecting with a plant, they may begin to hear sounds that are not physically present. It could be a subtle melody, a hum, or a specific tone that seems to emanate from the plant. At deeper levels of connection, they may even hear words, phrases, or entire concepts forming in their mind, as if the plant were whispering directly into their consciousness. If you are sensitive to sounds and music, pay attention to this channel. There are also those whose language is kinesthetic, the clairsentient. They feel the communication in their own body. By touching a plant or simply being near one, they can feel its energy as a physical sensation, a warmth in the palm of their hand, a tingling sensation running up their arm, a sudden wave of emotion like peace, joy, or even sadness. Their body becomes an antenna that translates the plant's vibration into a physical or emotional sensation. If you are someone who feels things and environments intensely, this is probably your gift. To discover your language, there's a practical and powerful exercise you can start doing today. Sit comfortably in front of a plant, any plant, indoors or outdoors. Relax your body and mind. Begin to synchronize your breathing with its presence. Imagine that with each inhale, you're absorbing its essence, energy, and peace. With each exhale, you're sending back your gratitude and love. Simply stay in this cycle of silent exchange for a few minutes, establishing a connection. As you do this, begin to talk to her aloud or in your mind. It doesn't have to be anything complex. Offer sincere and kind compliments. You are magnificent. Your strength inspires me. Thank you for being here and for sharing your life with me. And then be silent and simply observe. Notice what happens within you. Do you see something, hear something, feel something in your body? Or perhaps a sudden knowing, an intuition simply appears in your mind. Don't judge, just notice. With practice, one of these channels will become clearer and more prominent, revealing the path to your personal dialogue. Once you've discovered your native language, the next step is to choose a partner in this green world and initiate the first conscious contact. Ancient wisdom, shared by diverse cultures around the world, teaches us a profound truth. We don't choose a power plant or an ally. It chooses us. Trying to force a connection with a specific plant because you've read about its properties or because you find it beautiful is like trying to force a friendship. True alliance is born from a mutual calling, from an energetic recognition. The journey to first conscious contact begins, therefore, not with a choice, but with attentive observation and deep listening. Start walking in nature with a new intention. Whether in a park, a forest, your own garden, or even among the potted plants in your home, walk without a fixed goal, just with the open intention of finding your ally. Allow your intuition, not your eyes, to guide you. Let your body move in the direction it feels it should go. At some point, a specific plant will capture your attention in a different way. It may not be the largest or most colorful. It may be a small weed growing in a crack in the sidewalk. but you will feel a tug, a curiosity, an inexplicable feeling that there is something there for you. This is the calling. Once the ally plant has revealed itself, the approach ritual should be conducted with the utmost solemnity and respect. Remember, you are about to enter the sacred space of another living being. Approach slowly. Before getting too close, introduce yourself. You can do this out loud or in your mind, whichever feels most natural to you. State your name. Express your intentions sincerely. Tell the person that you wish to learn, connect, and establish a relationship of mutual respect. Then, ask permission to approach and enter their energetic space. Reciprocity is a fundamental law of the universe. You can't just come and take, you must also give. So bring an offering. It doesn't have to be anything complicated or expensive. The value isn't in the object, but in the intention of gratitude behind the gesture. It could be some pure, fresh water, a small crystal you carry with you, a strand of your own hair as a symbol of connection, or even a song or poem that comes from your heart. Place your offering gently near the base of the plant, as a sign of respect and gratitude for its existence. After the offering, sit quietly near her. Expect nothing, demand nothing, just receive. Use your native language that you've begun to discover. If you're visual, observe her aura. If you're auditory, listen to her sound. If you're kinesthetic, feel her energy. And as you do this, continue to communicate with your heart. Speak to her as if she were a loved one you've reunited with. I see you. I honor you. I thank you for calling me. The answer may not be immediate or obvious. It may not be a voice in your head. The answer may come as a sudden insight into a problem in your life. An overwhelming sense of peace and well-being, a clear image that emerges in your mind. Or it may come later, symbolically, in a vivid dream that night. Be open to all forms of communication. The first contact is the opening of a portal, the beginning of a sacred friendship. It is a relationship that deepens with constant practice, with regular visits, and, crucially, with the understanding of the secret code of time that governs all of nature. The secret code of time and the cycles of the moon. Thoth, the great master of knowledge who left us the first clues, was also known in ancient Egypt as the god of the moon. He understood that time is not a straight, monotonous line like the ticking of a clock. Time in nature is a spiral, a dance of cycles within cycles, and the most powerful and visible of these cycles is that of the moon. The moon, with its changing phases, exerts a powerful gravitational pull not only on the tides of the oceans, but also on the most subtle fluids of life, including the sap that flows within plants and the water in our own cells. Synchronizing your interactions with these lunar rhythms is like tuning a radio to the exact frequency of a station. You can hear music with a poorly tuned radio, but when you get the frequency right, the sound becomes clear, crisp, and powerful. Similarly, aligning your communication with the phases of the moon exponentially amplifies the clarity and depth of your connection with the plant kingdom. Each lunar phase has a specific energy that favors different types of interaction and communication, and learning to use this temporal code is a masterful step. The new moon, when the night sky is dark, is a time of pure potential, of seeds in the dark. This phase is ideal for planting new intentions in your relationship with your plant ally. It's a time for silent meditation, connecting with the energy of your roots. with what's hidden and preparing to grow. It's the perfect time to ask for guidance on new beginnings in your life, to plant the seeds of future projects, and ask your plant to energize them with its life force. As the moon's light begins to grow, we enter the waxing phase. This is an energy of expansion, construction, and development. This period favors communication about growth, nourishment, and overcoming obstacles. It's a good time to talk to your plant about your own ongoing projects, to ask for strength and perseverance. Physically, this is the phase in which sap is rising most strongly, making it ideal for caring for the plant's leaves and stems, nourishing its visible parts. The full moon represents the peak of light and energy. It's the moment of greatest power and receptivity, both for us and for the plants. At this stage, communication channels are fully open, and messages can flow with maximum intensity and clarity. It's the ideal time for gratitude rituals, deep dialogues, and asking for important revelations or insights. The energy of the full moon illuminates what was previously hidden, bringing clarity to complex issues. It's the most potent phase for harvesting leaves or flowers for medicinal or ritual purposes, as they will be charged with maximum vital energy. After the peak, the light begins to diminish and we enter the waning moon. This is an energy of introspection, liberation, and cleansing. It's an ideal time for purification practices, both for you and the plant. You can ask your plant ally to help you remove what no longer serves you in your life. Old habits, stagnant emotions, limiting beliefs. It's a time to let go, to prepare for the new cycle that will begin anew with the new moon. Mastering these cycles amplifies the connection, but the true power comes when you learn to decipher the language that plants use with each other at every moment, finally becoming fluent in the green language. Once your personal communication channel is open, once you've learned to honor your plant ally and synchronize your listening with the rhythms of the moon, something magical begins to happen. You begin to perceive a new world of information that has always been there, but previously was invisible to you. The language of plants is spoken in countless ways, and your task now is to become a translator, an interpreter of this silent wisdom. You cease to be a mere observer and become an active participant in life's great dialogue. The smell of freshly cut grass, once a nostalgic summer scent, now reaches your consciousness in a different way. You recognize it for what it truly is: a cry for help, a chemical alarm released en masse, and you may feel a pang of compassion rather than mere aesthetic pleasure. You learn to read the subtle changes in a plant's posture, the tilt of its leaves toward the light, no longer as a simple reflex, but as a gesture of yearning, of seeking, of desire. The shrinking of its leaves when touched reveals itself as an act of self-protection and sensitivity. If you've made it this far, it means your perception has already begun to shift. You're no longer the same person who started watching this video. To let me know you're part of the awakening group, leave the phrase, "Plants feel my energy," in the comments. And if you feel called to help this channel grow more directly, know that your contribution is very important to me. In the first pinned comment, I left a link for anyone who wants and can support our work, helping us spread more content like this and reach more people ready to awaken. Any help is immensely valuable to the channel's growth, but understand that just making it to the end is a huge help. If you can, share this video with someone you think also needs to hear this message. And before you leave, the journey doesn't end here. Don't leave yet. I've put together a special video to help you take the next step and delve even deeper into what we've discovered today. Click on the video now on your screen and we'll meet you there.